Now, on a high level, this is the way this particular optional training is going to go. First off, I'm going to give somewhat of a high level overview of the role as it feels different in the virtual environment. And then I'd like to get a little bit more granular on the pain pieces, the unique things that can be a challenge in the virtual environment. And I'd like to also pull Lisa into that because she's had the host experience and she'll have a different point of view than I will. So first, on a high level overview, the job role doesn't change, right? The expectation is that the Toastmaster of the evening helps sign up roles, but is not responsible for getting the entire agenda filled out. That is the club's responsibility. Oh, we try as best we can, but we can't solely put that on Toastmaster of the evening. And in doing that, one of the best tips that always comes up is that sometimes you have to break away from email and directly communicate with someone. And in a future training, I'll also show how you can send out the agenda to everybody and use personalization features so that they feel a little bit more like that message was really calling and speaking to them to take on that role. Some of you might have noticed that I've done that in the past, and I know I've gotten responses about it. One thing about filling roles, though, in the virtual environment, we really want to be a little bit more sensitive to the fact that this is very different. So at our meetings, it's not as big a ask to say, hey, can you do this role? Can you be an evaluator? Can you be an counter? It's a little bit more of an ask to have someone do something in the virtual environment if they're not comfortable. And we have to be sensitive to that. And that's another reason why we say it is not the Toastmaster of the evening's responsibility to fill the agenda. We just ask that they help. Does anybody have any questions on that part, that just filling out the agenda? Okay. That's kind of the bulk of the pre-work. But think about it, at our physical meetings, when you show up, the agendas are already placed. Generally, the speaking and introductions are already at the podium. That's because that's been what the Sergeant at Arms does. In the virtual environment, you have to figure that out on your own. There's a number of ways to do it. I think, Leanne, did you do it with a screen or something to the side when you were commenting and doing yours? Getting a head shake there. And Lisa, how did you manage that portion?
I actually print everything out and take notes, so it's sitting right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I circle all the times to make sure I'm trying to stay on time also. So I take notes and I put it in front of me. That's a bit, and everybody works differently that way, but that's what helps me.
One of the keys to succeeding in that is, again, if you think about it, when you arrive at the meeting, every I's dotted, every T's crossed. That's not always the case in the virtual environment. And in fact, I think we've been seeing as a club, there's a lot of last minute changes in the virtual environment. There may be a speaker that drops out. There may be a speaker that came on. You may be filling roles at the last minute. You may be deleting a speaker at the last minute. Because of that, if you write your agenda by hand or you print out what's in the system, it may mislead you. What I'd like to do now is share with you the computer system that will show you how you can take control of that and adjust it for yourself and print it, because somebody's not doing that for you. Okay, so this is our Toast Host website. And once you sign up for Toastmaster of the evening, I'm just going to demonstrate this portion here. Toastmaster of the evening, right here, you'll notice the very last check mark in this box says that this person assigned to this role can edit this meeting agenda. You may not have all the functionality and see all the things that you can see on my screen because I'm on the exec board, so I do have some special privileges. But when you are Toastmaster of the evening, you can manipulate the agenda for that meeting. One of the ways that you do that is you go to the pencil. You click on the pencil, and then each role is outlined. There's a drop down where you can assign someone to that role, or you can mark it as unassigned. I'll give you a good example. Earlier this week, we had an individual that signed up for quite a few roles, and I was able to find someone to do inspiration. So I contacted that person and said, hey, I'm going to take you off this role because we did find a volunteer, put that person in. I was able to do that right here in this spot. I'll show you that exact change. Inspiration is right here. You just go to the drop down, select Bakari, and the change is made. Now, what is most common is deleting a speaker or something to that effect. And there's a trash button that allows you to delete the speaker. If you're deleting a speaker, just know that there's an assigned evaluator as well. I'm just double checking. I checked the chat and there was a chat from Aaron that said you can't see this shared screen. Is that the case for everybody?
It's very small. That's the only thing I have. I don't know if I can. Oh, there you go. I can get it bigger.
I can see it, but I mean, I can read it, but yeah, it is kind of small.
But then you can move it out with your fingers. At least I can on my phone.
Okay.
Jerry, I can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it in editing that I would go over at this point in time. But taking you back to the reason why you need to know to edit is someone is not dotting I's and crossing T's and printing out the agenda for you.
Right.
You know how to do that. And that's this button right here, the printer icon toward the top of the agenda. When you click on that, I can make that box bigger, but it doesn't make the print bigger. To print all the speaker introductions, you click on the bottom blue box in that frame. It says print all speaker introductions. It will print each one on a separate page in very large font, exactly what has been used at our meetings. To print the agenda, you choose the agenda you want to print from the drop down. You can view the various ones that are available. We typically use the standard. And then you click OK. I didn't say click OK when I said print all speaker introductions, because as soon as you do that, it pulls up the speaker introductions and the print screen comes up. However, to print the agenda, you actually have to click OK. Now, pro tip for you. By default, certain fields, for some reason this box is frozen. Let's see. Maybe I have to cancel out of that print. Okay. There we go. By default, certain fields are checked to automatically print. One thing I've found helpful in the virtual environment is to also include notes about those that are not attending and include the meeting notes. I'll show you what that does. On the very bottom of the agenda, it says anyone who indicated they are not attending the meeting. Today, I knew Adam Hayes wasn't attending, so I knew I couldn't pull on him to become an counter or something like that. I knew that Jody wasn't coming because she put it in the notes. In the virtual environment, that's a little bit more critical because you can't just glance over the room and see who you can plug into certain areas, and you don't know if somebody's just coming late or what have you. It feels different.
Hey, Jerry, I have a question.
Yeah.
How does the not attending get populated? What did Adam do to be able to, I mean, I know we have the meetup where we RSVP, but how do you RSVP on our site?
Two ways. We all get the email about a meeting, and there's a button that says, are you attending, yes or no? If you click on that button in the email, it will populate that.
Right, okay.
If you
And
don't notice, right here in the middle of my screen, it says, are you planning to attend this meeting? There's a drop down, yes, no, or uncertain.
No, I've never paid attention to that. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome.
Amazing what you learn.
Are there any other questions on the technical piece?
I had a question. So if you take off the speaker, it automatically takes off the evaluator at the same time?
It does not, but it will reorder the speakers. If you took off speaker number 2, it will renumber them 1 and 2. But
Awesome.
it automatically take out the evaluator.
So the evaluator you have to do manually.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would encourage you, if you are going to remove that evaluator, you might want to consult with the VP of Education or the speaker, because perhaps there's a linkage there as far as maybe that person was chosen for a reason or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Any other questions?
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
I think if you do Command Option 8 on your Mac, you can zoom in your screen just momentarily so people can see those real detailed checkboxes and stuff.
Command Option 8. I'm trying it. It's not seeming to do anything.
Maybe because you're in screen share.
I mean, I can plus out. It could be the screen share, yeah.
Can you try Control Plus?
Yeah, that's what I just did. Is it bigger for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
that's
you.
much better.
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of breeze through that, because it seems like there's a lot of value in this piece. This is where you can indicate if you are attending or not. This button is used to print the meeting agenda. And then this button is used to edit it. Notice when you put your cursor over it, it does give you an indication of what it's going to do. Don't feel like you're going to break it. And then once you hit edit the agenda, you can change people with the drop down or delete a role with the trash can.
And one other note is when you use the print icon to get to the print view, you can either print to a printer or print to a PDF. So as host, Unu, when she was the host, prints to a PDF, and then as host tonight, I printed to a PDF, and then that's how I got the file that I shared in the chat box at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Jerry, in that edit window, is there a way to add items, line items?
Yeah, you can add roles there. The way you add is you have to go all the way to the bottom of the agenda, and here it says add edit the item.
Okay.
That's where you would type in the title, any description, and then fill out the timing and what privileges there will be.
And then use the arrows to get it at the right place in the agenda.
That's right. The arrows off here to the right will move it up or down in the agenda. You can also drag it.
Oh, okay. So you're stating, Jerry, then the Toastmaster needs to be the one that changes the agenda.
I think it's helpful to know, but I wouldn't say it's a job requirement. We try to get it all nailed down in advance, but we have seen where it can cause problems with the timing of the meeting.
Right.
Reason it wasn't done.
Right. Because that's what I found to be the most difficult when I first did Toastmaster. I didn't change the timing and then I was off on the timing.
Yeah.
And to a, 5-6 minutes, which is something you don't want to have.
5 or 6. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you told me that, didn't you? Because you were the general evaluator then. I felt,
Generally evaluated that night.
yeah, you were. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember. Definitely remember. But
And
what I see as you're doing it from the technical side is when you're the Toastmaster is to keep on time, keep it moving, but also have the correct tone. So it doesn't sound like you're unsure or that you're lost.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's easy to do. That's why I spend some time making notes and reviewing it before I actually have to do it. So I feel more comfortable with it, knowing what comes next.
Yeah.
And then, Jerry, when you're doing it, you've done it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I don't know how many times, but you're quite secure in how you're talking. And I think that really makes a difference for setting the tone.
Yeah, and I find that I have to be standing to get into character. And I do get into character to do Toastmaster of the evening. I literally envision myself back in the day when I didn't just manage a 5-year-old, I managed an office. And yeah. And I think about it in terms of having that holiday party where there might be spouses and family, where I have to make that employee shine, but there's also some structure around that holiday party that's my responsibility. So I'm a host, and it's that fine line between making other people shine and just running the meeting. You can't just run the meeting because that's boring. There's a little showmanship there, and that's how I get into character. I think about that holiday party. And this is very important. I used a tripod earlier because if you're seated, you will have less energy. I don't know any way around that. You just sound different too. You sound flat. So I think standing up is critical.
Well, that was a very good analogy about having a party, but also having, what word did you use? Format?
Yes.
Structure.
Structure, thank you. The
Yes.
structure to the party.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So for those who've done it, what pain pieces have you had that we can talk about?
You talking about, I missed that. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you and Leanne, most.
Oh, yeah.
It,
Leanne, you can go. I've talked about my pain pieces.
What was that?
Finding.
I didn't know I was part of this panel. I was just listening.
Calling on firsthand experience.
What, as Toastmaster in this venue?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that last time I was Toastmaster, and Jerry was saying that I had the agenda up on my other screen, and Tom had mentioned that I shouldn't have it up on the other screen. Now I don't have a printer at home, and not everybody does. So this is one area that you have to kind of give a little leeway, that you have to allow where people have that agenda. So I had to look over at the other screen. I do have an alarm in my phone that when I'm at work on Thursday mornings to print the agenda. So I do have it printed today, but as the Toastmaster, you mentioned that it changed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So as Toastmaster, I had to have it up on the other screen because there were so many changes.
that makes
And yeah, you just have to give a little grace for what the technology people have available to them at their homes. Some people have that are the timer, that have that virtual, can do the backgrounds. Beth apparently can do the backgrounds. Srinivas can do the backgrounds. I don't have the technology to do the backgrounds. And again, you just have to give a little grace as to what is available to each other's at their houses.
Right.
found too, I didn't have a clock in my room, and we usually have a clock in our meeting room, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the computer screen. I have one at the bottom of my computer screen.
Yeah, so depending on where you have it, I literally took a wall clock this big off the wall and put it on the bed so I could see it.